Good morning. So you join me in what is hopefully the first video of a new channel. Not sure if the app is be ready by the time I put this out. I doubt it. But I want to talk to you a bit about what this channel is, what riding a bike means to me, what my learning journey is, and if you like, and why I've set up the app and hopefully this channel. So I want to start a little bit about saying probably what surprised me about learning the bike. So I learnt my bike, got my license at the ripe old age of 40, possibly a midlife crisis, some might say, might be true. But I got my license because it was something I always wanted to do. Like many of you may have thought about doing it. You may have wanted to do it. You may have even wanted to decide to do it at some point. But other life things got in the way. You know, married, kids, house, debt. And it wasn't until a mate of mine at work decided that, or mentioned that he had had a tasty course and was going to go and do it, that I said I'll do it as well. So we both did it at the same time, although at very different schools. And I'll talk a bit about, if you like, that process, but because I was absolutely shocking. So if you are going through your CBT and things like that and don't think you can do it, you can, because nobody could have been worse than me. So obviously I knew what getting a bike license was. You know, you get a bike. But what I wanted to talk about is what surprised me. And what surprised me was, I suppose when you're 40, the only time you meet up with mates really is down the pub. Might be at kids' football or something like that. Might be at watching sports or watching football at the pub. And usually involves the pub. And you don't really, you have that set, and unless you're forced into another activity, usually with the kids, you don't really make any friends. Or any new friends. And what surprised me more about learning to ride a bike and going out for rides and that kind of thing, and the people you meet, and I don't want to say the community and all that kind of thing, but you know, old friends might come out of the woodwork that's ride for years, might introduce you to new friends. And I think when you're 40, you're what I classify as 2 AM friends. So friends that you can make a call up at 2 AM, say that you know you're in trouble or whatever else, they turn up at your house with a shovel and no questions asked. So, and that's the kind of friends that you make, and you make these because it's the shared stories, shared interest, and spending time with them. And so I was just concentrating a bit on that, what's going on there, to the lights. And I suppose that's the thing that surprised me most, and the thing that sort of means the most to me. So, yeah, if you're thinking about doing it, the good thing is you meet new people and new friends. And then the reason I've set up the app is because I'm a big believer in you shouldn't ride alone. You know, you might not be, particularly if you're not in a good headspace. So for whatever reason, or maybe you've even just moved to an area, you haven't got any friends that ride, you've just passed your test and you're one of your sort of friendship zone, if you like, or friendship group that rides now, then I want to try and find an easy way to plan those rides almost advertise those rides and join those rides. And the reason for that as well is sometimes you might go out on your bike. I'm not talking about when you're commuting to work, because obviously it's difficult to publish a ride out that I'm going to the office. But those weekend rides and those kind of things, when you're maybe not in a great headspace, people keep people in check. So the more people you meet, the more people are checking in on you. If you're somebody that sort of like gets caught in those kind of dark thoughts, repeated thoughts, or anything else, it is a little bit, I don't know, strange to say, and I wouldn't have agreed years ago, but people just checking in on you and having a conversation, saying out, you know, how you doing, and then just talking rubbish, I think really helps. And if you do go out and you're not in a great headspace and you ride like a bit of a knobber, you know, someone on that ride can tell you you're riding like a knobber. 9 times out of 10 there'll be a faster rider than you in a group, so there'll be somebody there to keep you in check. Oh, neutral. So yeah, so that's the reason I've set up the app. Now the app works, and I'll put some pictures of the app up here somewhere, but that works by recording your bike, recording service intervals and things like that, letting you know how, you know, when those service intervals are due, even down to tyres and stuff like that. But you can hopefully get something out of it. You know, the more you use it, the more you'll get out of it. So yeah, that's why the app's set up. You've got a plan mode, so you plan your rides. You've got you know, you can join the road. You've got crews, so therefore you've got a group of mates already. You can invite that crew, and you can be members of crews and things like that, so you can start getting that little bit of a community together. And I will be looking at testers at some point, just to test it out, give me some feedback, so if you can comment on this video, then I'll send you a link. You'll be able to register. It's free. I'm not sure if the app in the long run will be free, just because it's costing me to run the servers and the database and things like that. But I'm not interested in making money out of it, just really covering the costs. So what was my learning journey like then? So as I said, a mate went and did a tester session. I went to a different school. Now, there seems to be different schools and different schools of thoughts when booking your DAS. And the school that he went to was sort of like unlimited lessons, if you like. So he would have, obviously he did CBT the same as everybody, but then he went and did, it was sort of like either morning or afternoon lessons, like 3-hour slots, and he had as many of them as he wanted before booking your Mod 1 and your Mod 2, which are your tests. So your Mod 1 is your sort of car park test, slow control of the bike and things like that, and then your Mod 2 is on the road, where they test you in the ride behind you, a bit more like a driving test, but obviously you've got no one in the passenger seat. So I went, booked on this, went and did my CBT. I've been driving for 20 years, I figured it'd be simple, I've got good clutch control. However, the only thing I will say to you is clutch control on a bike is very different to a car. You have to have a bit of revs. You have to keep those revs up, and the only thing that was going through my mind with that is thinking that the bike was going to lurch forward, wheelie, flow me off the back. And it is a confidence thing. So I did my CBT, which is compulsory basic training. It's not a test, it's training. I failed it. The reason for it is didn't have any clutch control. They felt I wasn't safe to go on the road, so I had to book back onto my CBT. Went back a few days later to do my CBT again, and I was still rubbish. Crap in the road. Still absolutely rubbish, and so they put me on a 125 twist and go. And to be fair, I took that as a bit of a hit, if you like, a bit of a confidence blow, but at the same time, after about 10 minutes, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was brilliant, thought it was brilliant fun. So it brought out some confidence, which a lot of biking is about confidence in the bike, confidence in the tyres, things like that, confidence in grip. So, when I did, so I finished my CBT, but I had to go back, so I had to pay for another day of gear training, because my training course, if you like, was booked off CBT one day, Mod 1 training with a bit of Mod 2 training, Mod 1 training and test, Mod 2 training and test, all in the same day, consecutive days almost. So I had to pay for some gear training, so that was on a 125 to start off with, and then they put me on a 600, I think it was a Kawasaki, up in a 650. But yeah, got some confidence, could steer the bike and be safe on the street with it. Still, counter steering, was a little bit confusing to me, and so steering at speed was a little bit difficult. So I then went and did my Mod 1 morning, if you like, followed by the Mod 1 test. And there's a speed trap you have to go through for things like the emergency stop and the hazard avoidance. I went through 1 mile an hour too slow for my swerve twice, exactly the same speed, which is interesting. So at that point I was even more demoralised. I paid for an additional Mod 1 day and Mod 1 test, but I also went out and bought a little CBR 125, and in about 2 weeks I think I put about almost 2,000 miles on it or something like that, which obviously it's just time in the saddle, time in the seat, so therefore it just gives me that confidence, if you like. So I went back, did my Mod 1, got told off for going to the speed trap too fast, but found out there wasn't a, if you like, a top speed, so passed that. Went back for the Mod 2 day and the Mod 2 training, the Mod 2 training, the Mod 2 test, and I got a bit lucky with that, and I think karma was on my side. So we went in twos. There was a young lady that was going with me. She was very, very nervous, and so I asked if she wanted to go first, because my name was down first. She wanted to get it done. So they swapped us round. She went first, but the young girl, I say young lady, had just had a full side tattoo, and the tester, obviously an older lad that liked the ladies, she showed him a picture of that. That was a bit of side boob. So he was loving life. He was on cloud 9, and in a really good mood after that. So I went to my Mod 2. That's just driving around, nothing to be scared about at all, and passed it. So although I told myself I'd keep the 125 for a little while, it was gone within a week, and I got a Yamaha XJ6 Diversion F, which really, that bike looked after me. I mean, I punished that bike a little bit, and it always stayed with me. But I suppose, and it was this road in particular, I went out on a first ride with an old friend that I'd recontacted, and somebody that'll become a great friend in the future. But I remember him coming down this road at about 70 miles an hour. He was sitting there like this, and I was going so fast. And that's the other thing that I wanted to say is, you get used to the speed on a motorbike quicker than maybe your... God damn it. Tell me a pointless Cardo feature. Hey Cardo, radio off. So you get used to the speed quicker than maybe your skill involved. Now on this kind of road, where there's loads of room in front, keep an eye on what's behind me, but it's mainly straight, it's absolutely fine. On roads that are a bit twisty and things like that, you get used to the speed on the straight bit, you may be hitting that corner too fast, you will go over to the right hand side, you will, you know, push your luck a little bit and have to sort of lean it more than maybe you were comfortable doing. You might even panic brake in the corner, which will stand the bike up and make it go straight into the other side of the road, depending on where the bend's going. So yeah, that, if you like, was my learning journey to share with you. I've gone from doing that CBT, I think it was 4 years ago, now and not being able to ride at all, to next week, and I'm hoping the video's ready for next week and the app is almost there, and hopefully this one's now recorded. But to next week, which should be the 6th of June, to doing the RBL challenge. So that's the Iron Butt challenge. That's 1,000 miles in a day. It's in aid of the Royal British Legion, and the money goes towards the charity, God damn it. Hey Cardo, radio off. Should turn this off a bit, shouldn't I? So it's for the Royal British Legion. Money goes to the Popping Peel. I am doing, I think it's the clockwise North Circuit, which is into Scotland. So I've never been to Scotland before. Really excited about going up there and seeing the country the first time on a bike. The sad news is it'll be up, round, down and out. But it's 1,000 miles in 24 hours. So I'll put just give a link in the description of this. So if anybody can give, it'd be greatly appreciated. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. It can be, you know, a couple of quid or what. I don't know what the just giving minimum is. But I'll put a link in there. I will. I realise whilst I'm talking to you, I've gone completely the wrong way. So I'll put that link down there, so feel free to give. If you are looking at doing your CBT and just starting out on a beginner bike, what I'm hoping to do is some just sort of what to expect on your Mod 1, what to expect on your Mod 2. I think there's probably better videos out there that I can do, but I'll give it a go anyway. But yeah, if you're looking to do your bike, looking to get your exam, you cannot be worse than I was at all. You know, I was absolutely shocked. On the upside, theory, smash that. Everything else, no. Alright, so that's my first little rant. I'll see what today brings. Until then, have a good day. Bye.